to the one and only Mr.
Yes.
John Barr.
Hey.
I think we've got the wrong.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I love Chewbacca. This is my latest little thing.
Background.
I've got them all
you.
shapes and sizes.
Thank you very much indeed, John. That was a lovely entrance.
Good evening. Oh, Brenda's here. Now, oh my God, there's some amazing. We have the wonderful company, the wonderful Brenda Evans, who's a very dear friend of mine, who was the late Lionel Bart's last PA, and has become a very dear friend of mine. Hello, gorgeous.
Good evening and hello and welcome, Brenda.
Brenda Evans. Well, hello, everyone.
Nice to meet you. Hi. So, Mr. John Barr, this is your life.
Bum 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 bum.
Okay, so let's really just start at the very beginning.
Start at the very beginning.
Well, do you know? Oh, you beat me to it exactly. It's exactly how I was going to do that
really.
one.
Well, honestly, I'm going to ask you what the burning question, which everybody would like the answer to. What sort of inspired you to start in the business?
Well, I was a bit of a show off at school. I was a bit of a star at school at my primary school.
Right.
And then my nanny Ruby took me to see. I was obsessed as a kid by Basil Brush and puppets and things. And so my nanny took me to see Cilla Black and Basil Brush at the Palladium when I was 7 years old. And that was kind of the thing. And then during my primary school, I was like always the lead voice singer at was always pushed to the front. And then when I went to my comprehensive school, the music teacher, a wonderful teacher called Douglas Shaw, took me under his wing and really honed my voice. And then I played Louis and the King and I at school, played Joseph, I played Jesus in Godspell. And then at the age of 11, 12, I auditioned for Sylvia Young. And that's really where my career began. Then I did loads of adverts. I was in Oliver in the West End with the late Roy Hudd. That was an incredible start, really.
Can you tell us a little bit about the audition process for Oliver? How did that go? Well,
when I auditioned for Sylvie, initially, she loved my voice, but she said to my mum, he's a little healthy looking to be in Oliver. I think that's what she said. I mean, she didn't say, I was not a fat child, but let's just say I looked healthy. Right. So I went on a diet. I literally went on a diet at the age of like 11, 12. And then I got into Oliver with my mate Paul Gamble, who's actually online as well. Hi, Paul, and old Sylvia Young. And I got into it basically because I just was so determined. I wanted to be in that show, and I got into it. It was incredible.
And was that your first sort of experience? Was that what really made you love Lionel Barr's fabulous stuff?
Oh. I was obsessed by it. I mean, I used to, up until you're 13, you could work 40 days a year. And when you become 13, you can work 80 days a year. So I had kind of a split. I was about nearly 12, nearly 13. So I did 40. But in those days, they weren't as strict with licenses as they are now. And regularly, my mum would get a phone call saying, can John come in and do this? Because Jeff Ferris, the late Jeff Ferris, who was Cameron's right-hand man at the time, adored me and knew that I knew all the shows. So Paul and I'm sure Paul did as well, we would go in and just save the day. You know, boys were calling sick. And so, yeah. And the wonderful thing about that show, there are quite a few people that were the adults in that show that I'm now very dear friends with. The wonderful Gillian Burns, who was my Nancy, is a certain age now, and she's one of my dearest friends. And I used to say to my chaperone, Miss Northwood, can I go downstairs and see Miss Burns sing As Long As He Needs Me? Look, I was so going to be gay and I was so going to be in musical theatre.
Oh, that was fantastic. And then what did you move on to do after that? I mean, I'm sure that must have opened a lot of doors for you.
It did. I did loads of adverts and voiceovers and things. And then I did a small part in a TV series with the late Ian Holm, actually, who just died. And Elizabeth Spriggs played my mum, a thing called We the Accused for the BBC.
Right.
And then in my last couple of months at school, one day I bunked off my history exam and I went to audition for the first national tour of Jesus Christ Superstar. I was 15 and a half years old. I bunked off these exams and I auditioned. And the most important thing about the day was, the audition was at the Prince of Wales Theatre. Now, for me, the most important thing about that is the stage where Barbra Streisand made her West End debut. So I was going to sing on the stage. Yeah, well, she did Funny Girl.
Of course, yes, yes.
And so there I am, this kind of 15 and a half kid. Well, anyway, walked in, sang my song, sang a Barbra Streisand song. And they said to me, how old are you? And I went, 19. I was 15 and a half. Anyway, long story short, I got the job. So I was very blessed. And at the age of 16, I was touring around the country in the National One Tour of Jesus Christ Superstar.
And then what happened after that? What did you go on to do next?
I went straight into the West End at the age of 17 to be the swing boy in the West End production of Annie. And then I did that on tour for a year.
Oh,
that was my training, to be honest.
Amazing. And I mean, I'm just looking now at some of your, I suppose, your recent, well, I'll say relatively recent, you played Peter Pan at Perth.
I played Peter Pan in Perth. I was 19 when I did that with the wonderful Ricky Fulton. He was a huge star up in Scotland.
Right.
Walking down Princes Street with him was quite, he was like a demigod. People were like bowing, you know.
Really? Yeah. And then we're probably swinging around here. I've got down here that one of my most favourite Lloyd Webber shows, you played Shay in Evita.
I was the youngest person ever to play Che. I only did 2 shows a week, and they'd never had an alternate Che. And basically, I auditioned for the show. I just finished doing a TV series, and I auditioned for it. John Owen Edwards, who was the musical director, said, would you like to audition? And I said, yes. But there's nothing in the show really for me. So I auditioned, and then they offered me ensemble and first understudy to Che. And I remember I was only 9. I was 19 at the time. I was 20 when I started the show. But then I said to my agent, just ask them if I can do a show a week. I said, they've got an alternate A. But anyway, she asked Bob Swash, and he said, that would be fantastic. How many shows a week would he like to do? So she said, well, 1 or 2. And he went, he can have 2, because Jimmy King, who I was going to be standby an alternate for, was Hal Prince's favourite Che Guevara on the planet. Everyone in the Evita world knew that Jimmy King was the Che of Hal's choice. Right. He was an old rocker and the most incredible human being I've ever worked with. Yeah. And but Jimmy had a heart bypass operation. Right. So Jimmy was very relieved that 2 shows a week he got off, and this young upstart got to go on and play his part.
And how long were you in the show for? How many?
A year in Manchester. Oh, yeah. And I got to work with Hal Prince. Put me into the show. I was, as I said, I knew who Hal Prince was. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of teaching now of kids of 18, 19, 20. They don't know who any of these people are. I knew who Hal Prince was. Yes. I'm sure you all know who Hal Prince is, don't you? Hal Prince? You know?
Yeah.
He's the most famous Broadway producer and director of all time. Produced Fiddler on the Roof, directed Follies, directed Sweeney Todd. Like, the man is a demigod, you know.
Phantom of the Opera, of course.
Phantom of the Opera, yeah.
Yeah. And then another fabulous Sondheim, Sweeney Todd.
Well, Sweeney Todd is very, very dear to me, and Paul Gamble will vouch for this. I saw the first preview of it in London.
Right.
I went with my friend Nick Berry. Do you remember Nick Berry from Heartbeat?
Yes.
He's one of our best friends. Mm-hmm. And we got a £10 ticket to go and see the first preview of Sweeney Todd. Mm-hmm. And that whistle went off of that original Hal Prince production. And my life literally went, I would just thought, this is what I have to do. And I ended up seeing it 75 times. I've got ticket stubs in the loft for over 60 performances. And a lot of the times, the usherettes would let me through. They go, don't pay, I got ushered through. You know, it didn't do very well. It was often empty.
Really?
So, yeah. And then when I got offered it at Birmingham Rep, they offered me the job on the spot. I was offered the role of Tobias, and I fainted.
Oh, no.
I fainted. No more awake around. I said, do you really want me to do the job? Anyway, I got the job, and I've done Sweeney 5 times in my career now.
Right. And who else have you played in Sweeney?
I've done Tobias 3 times. I've been playing Fog in 2 other productions. The last one I did was with Emma Thompson at English Supper, which was amazing.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. And then I'm just looking here, Aspects of Love.
Was in the original company of that with the wonderful Roger Moore, who actually pulled out we had the Sitzprobe, which is the band call for the show. And he was the most incredible man. I mean, for me, he was my James Bond. You know, I was obsessed by the spy who loved me. And, you know, so he was, and there was one day quite early on in rehearsals, Gillian Lynn was taking a dance call, and it was in this very quiet room. We all had our own dance mats. And she said, come on, everyone, legs up in the air. And then there was this silence. And then Roger, just in the silence, said, this reminds me of how I got into the movies. He was so funny. Oh,
that's amazing. And then we've got this something quite interesting. Snoopy the musical.
Well, that's another show I was obsessed about. Teddy Kempner, who's now a very dear friend of mine, and his wife Susanna Fellows. But I saw Snoopy, oh, God knows how many times. I thought one day I'd love to be in it. And then my friend Steve Colley, when they did it in Cambridge, I did 2 European premieres there for him. And then the third one was a production of Snoopy. And he said, what role would you like to play? And I said, Snoopy. He went, well, that's ideal because I want you to play Snoopy. So that was a great show to do.
Fantastic. And Gilbert and Sullivan and the Mikado.
Well, the GNS thing kind of came about by pure default. I'd worked for Jeff Clark. Do any of you know the company Opera della Luna? It's a very small opera company that they really take it back to the basics.
Right.
And Jeff wanted me to do it. He initially wanted me to play the role of Nanki Poo. And I didn't know GNS. I didn't know the Mikado. I possibly knew 3 Little Maids from School Are We. I kind of knew that. But, so I said to him, well, Jeff, I really think you should audition me. So I got there for the audition and I said, bloody hell, this is really high, this Nanki Poo part. And I said, I don't think I want to do that. So he said, well, what about this part? So I read the last scene of Act 1, Coco's big speech and the scene. And he played me a little bit of on a tree by a river, a little tomtit sang willow, tit willow. And I sang that and he went, great, would you like to do that? And I went, great. I didn't know till about 2 days later when the script arrived. It is the biggest comedic role GNS ever wrote. The moment Coco's on stage, he doesn't leave.
Yes.
So I had to learn a lot of posh words in a hurry because I don't speak proper, as you can tell.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm going to move on quite swiftly here, and I want to bring in another Andrew Lloyd Webber's cats, Shimbleshanks.
Skimbleshanks.
Of course. I need to put new glasses.
You can call it what you want. Who cares? It's Friday night. You can call it. What did you call it? I prefer what you called it.
I forgot what I said now. Shingleshanks.
That again.
Shimbleshanks. Yes.
Yes, I prefer Shimbleshanks. Yes. That was amazing because I'm not really a dancer. I'm a bloody good mover, but I'm not a dancer. So to finally get into cats, but we did a small tour of it, and we ended up in Greece. In Cyprus rather, and it nearly killed us because we were outside in the open in this kind of heat in Lycra. Not nice. 40 years of age I was. It nearly killed me.
Oh my God! That's just it's such a physical show, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's a killer
thing. It's just move all the time.
And you don't leave the stage basically. You're on stage the whole show.
Yeah. Yeah. How did they actually stage with all the kind of rubbish and everything like that? I suppose that would be quite easy doing that outdoors, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, in Cyprus, because it was done in an amphitheatre, we had real cats literally crossing the stage.
Oh, you would in Greece, absolutely.
Yeah, I know, they were everywhere. It was like, oh my God, there's real cats around.
What about Chicago? Tell me a bit about your role in Chicago.
I played Amos Hart in Chicago, which is the Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane. And I did the Far East tour of that, which was incredible to play that part.
Yeah.
That's another one of those shows I saw at a very early age.
Let me just have a look here. There's something else. Wilbur. You've played Wilbur Turnblad in Hairspray.
That's another one. I went to the opening night of seeing that show with Michael Ball, and I remember thinking, when I get older, I'll play that part of Wilbur. And then about 5 years later, I was doing a pantomime, and a wonderful guy called Damien Williams, who's probably the best Dame in the country, he came to see it, and I'd never met him before. And he said, you're so funny. He said, you need to play my husband in Hairspray. And I went, yeah, that would be great, mate, really. And he said, no, they're looking for someone. And I happened to know the director, and I rang Paul Kerrison. It was about midnight. And I said, are you looking for someone to play Wilbur? And he said, I'll call you tomorrow. So I got the job. That was amazing.
So you didn't need to audition?
I didn't know I did. I went up and had a meeting to meet the musical director about that one.
Right. Okay, that's amazing. And I'm going to bring things right up to date, really right up to date now. So a show that I remember you telling me about, and I would love to have seen it, and I'm sure is very much in your heart and also to Brenda's. The Story of Barr. Tell us about that and how that came about.
It came about because my dear friend Simon Hanning wrote it for me, basically. I was doing a play for Alan Ayckbourn up at Scarborough. Right. And I suddenly got this text saying, are you free on September the 24th? And I went, I'll be back in London by then, yeah. And he said, I've written something for you. So he sent me the email with the script, and I thought it was going to be like a concert.
Right.
So I learned a lot of the songs. I learned Little White Ball and Russia with Love and all these things.
Yes, yes.
And then I thought I could take the script on stage with me and kind of say, and then he went, no, I need you to learn it. So the week before we opened, I had to learn a 2-hour show because I was the only one that spoke. It was Brenda, I didn't know you then, did I? No, just no.
That's amazing, yeah. And
but the show has become a labour of love, and every time we do it, a lot of members of Lionel's family come to see it. Brenda's been many times, and she also has been with the wonderful Muriel Walker, who was Lionel's PA for most of his career, actually.
Yes.
And she's now 94, and she's incredible.
Amazing. So, is that something that is going to be revived again, do you think, John?
Yeah. We were supposed to be doing shows all through the summer, and obviously because of coronavirus or COVID-19. What is the hip way of saying? Is it COVID-19 or something?
Probably, yes. Yeah.
What is it? What's Tristan saying?
Somebody's saying, if you not mute yourself if you're saying something.
Hey, what are you saying?
I think the term you're looking for is we are screwed.
We are screwed. Okay.
Screwed.
Oh, screwed. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you're right. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. You're so right there, mate. God,
So,
you couldn't have done better. Yeah.
One show which I have forgotten to mention, and I can't let it go, of course, is Les Mis, and you were in the film as well.
I was very lucky. I was in the second company of Les Mis, and in 1988, had the best 6 months of my life. And it was just incredible because the show had been running in London, and then the show had opened in New York, and then all the New York changes got put in. So John and Trevor were still very much part of the show.
Yes.
Kretzmer came and did all the new lyric changes. It was so exciting, you know, and to sing that show every night. And then I've done concert versions of it all around the world. I've done all the Albert Hall and the O2 one. Yes. And I'm in the opening scene of the movie, which is a wonderful thing to do.
Playing Convict Number 5, I believe.
Convict Number 5, yes. I think I gave him a name, but I can't remember now.
Oh, right, okay. I haven't got that down here. So I'm going to move on to little bits and other bits and pieces, or lots of other things that you've done. Your television work, I mean, you played a country priest in something called Taboo.
I had a great little part in the TV series with Tom Hardy called Taboo.
Right.
And again, I had a lot more to do than initially got put on screen, because by the time I joined the filming of it, they'd already been filming for 3 months, and he and Ridley Scott were not happy with it, so they had to refilm all of that. So then it was quite a tight schedule. So I had a couple of really lovely scenes with Jonathan Pryce. I played a snitch, basically, a dodgy little snitch.
Right.
And it was a great little part, but it all got cut down. But look, it was the money that spent on it. I had this wig made for me, and everything was extraordinary.
Right, oh, fantastic. And then a lot of, I don't know how many people will remember this, the series that used to be up in Birmingham, Pebble Mill at One, was it? And you were a regular singer on there.
I was the regular Alan Titchmarsh and Ross King, yeah. It was great.
And what was that? Was it just, did they have you on singing just things from shows and stuff every week?
Shows, no, I didn't do every week. I kind of was like a regular for about 6 months towards the end of it's basically I went on there to promote I was going out to America, New York, and Ross King is a friend of mine, and he got me on there, and then they really liked me, so I went back and did a couple of it was just a regular thing. It's great. Right. Oh, that's brilliant. They pay for my suit, my travel, my train journey, and I get a fee. It was great.
Well, there you go. That's fabulous. A lot of radio stuff you've done. You've done quite a lot of radio work, haven't you?
I was part of John Langridge's musical theatre and radio company, and I was playing the role of Paul. I did Simon in Jesus Christ Superstar with Roger Daltrey playing Judas, Tony Hadley from Spandau Ballet playing Jesus. I did Kiss Me Kate with Julie McGuinness playing Bill Calhoun, and my favourite of all I got to play Mottle opposite the man of my dreams, Mr. Anthony Newley, who became a bit of a friend towards the end of his life.
Oh, my, amazing. And my Fair Lady you mentioned. Something
Did
else.
the Proms of My Fair Lady.
Ah, okay, right.
The first musical ever to be done at the Proms.
Yeah. And you also played a young Roy Hudd, didn't you? Can you tell us about that?
I did, and my friend Lisa, and my friend Lisa Pease played the young June Whitfield. It was, and what was it called? What was it called, that program? Things Like They've Never Been Gone.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. So we sang the theme tune, and we would do a little bit of the young version of them, like kind of every other episode. It wasn't a weekly thing, but it was just a lovely thing. And because I'd known Roy all of my life, it was a very lovely little part of it all going together, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we could go on and on and on. I mean, the list is endless that I've got here. I'm looking at about some of the musical theatre workshops that you've been doing. Something called Huskter? What's that? You don't know? Oh, 2019 Huskter, Mark in Jason.
Oh no, that was in Lockhart. My friend Jason Carr's musical about this.
Okay.
It's an incredible musical. Oh my God, my friend Matt Ryan directed it. We had an amazing cast in that, and let's hope it gets done at some point. It's a very dark story. So it's brilliant.
And what's the one? The Countess by Simon Collier and Richard Bates.
That's like an audio book musical. That's going to be released, I think, later on in the year. Actually,
right?
They're editing that now.
Yes. So, bringing things really up to date. Obviously, did you have anything happen? Or what was happening pre-lockdown for you?
Well, to be honest, I mostly teach these days. I mean, I act when something interests me, but I've been teaching. I still act, you know, quite a lot, but for the last 12 years, my teaching career is kind of something I've just enjoyed doing far more than acting for no money and traveling around the country.
And anything sort of in the pipeline for, you know, I was saying the pipeline for after COVID, we don't know when that's going to end.
The lineup show will resume, and I have a residency where I play the Dame at the Queen Cedar Horn Church.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I mean, not like any of us. So who knows what's going to happen?
You don't know exactly. So you mentioned residency playing Dame. I mean, you've done so many pantomimes, haven't you, John?
I've done 26 pantomimes in my career. I started off playing Peter Pan, then I moved up to playing the Squire opposite Steve Mulhern for a couple of years, and then Barbara Windsor said, "You need to play Ugly Sister," and then that's how Scott cast me. Our husband cast me as Ugly Sister. Yes. And I did that for quite a few years. And then I played Villain, and then I've been doing Dame. So
Dame, is it Dame?
Obviously, I played Dame Nanny Fanny last year. Yes, I know. I can't believe when I came in the script, I couldn't believe we could get away with Nanny Fanny in East London. I really couldn't believe it.
A few little innuendos, no doubt, dropped in there, I would imagine.
Well, usually, and I'm Nanny Fanny this year.
So I'm gonna sort of throw a few things at you. Have you got anything? Is there a memorable time when it's that kind of a something went wrong, and at the time it was a disaster, but afterwards you laughed about it? Can you think of a?
Well, there are so many in my career. I mean, I say this to my students all the time because they regularly, when I'm particularly by teaching online these last few months. They'll forget a lyric or they'll crack on a note and they'll go, "Oh, I'm sorry." And going, "Guys, you've got to get used to it. You cannot make excuses. You've got to make it part of your performance." So I've cracked on many a high note and I've forgotten lyrics. And I mean, we all have, haven't we? Is that?
Oh yes.
But I suppose my biggest thing that I regale, and so I spoke about this the other day, celebrating Evita's the show's anniversary, is my first show as Che. I closed the coffin and went, "Sing your foot," and my dislocated my arm came out, and I carried on, and I go, and literally just hanging there, just swing.
Oh gosh!
And then I was off the show for 3 weeks because I really did quite a lot. My show, it came out of my socket 3 times during the show.
Oh my goodness!
So everyone in that show laughed because literally I closed the coffin and went, "Sing your fools, but you got it wrong," and literally my arm went,
God, honestly. And can you sort of not dish the dirt, but can you tell us of any naughty little goings on behind the scenes, perhaps? You know.
No, I'm not going to do that. No, none of you would do that, would you? None. Claire Cox,
No.
can I just say I love your hat, by the way. I've just noticed your hat. Claire Cox has got the coolest little brilliant hat on. Fabulous.
There you go. So, if I've mentioned this to you before, but if there's say somebody like myself that has got a voice, I feel I can sing. It's very frustrating because I would just dearly love to be in a musical. This is just me, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there think the same or feel the same that are not musical theatre trained. How do you go about doing it? Is it just a case of going and learning to having singing lessons? What would you say the best thing? I mean, I've been in the business 30 years and I've still never really done anything musical, but I would love to.
Well, then, do you know, you need to, John, there's plenty of people I know. I mean, I know some of the best people around vocal, where the college where I teach, one of the colleges where I teach, they have the best singing teachers in the country going in there.
Yes.
So are technical, they're bel canto, they're steel, they're, you know. But, you know, and take this the right way, because your age, you're like me, I'm a character actor now, even though I've still got my lyrical, I don't sing as high as I used to, and I don't want to either. That was such a pressure. And as I got older, I realized money notes, as they're called in the business. I now, you know, I spent most of my life going, oh, have I got that tonight? And it's exhausting. It's exciting, but it's really quite, I've lived a lot of my life on vocal rest, doing a show like Evita, as young as I was. If I was on the matinee, I would go straight home after the show and not talk until the following morning, exercise and do my, I've lived life quite religiously as a singer.
Yes, this you've got to be disciplined, haven't you? This is, I would say more so with, you know, and I'm not in musical theatre, but I would say more so with musical theatre, you have to have that but, you know, 8 shows a week. It's a lot, isn't it?
But you've done plays 8 shows, but you know how you know, it's not, look, don't get me wrong, it's not rocket science what we do, but it is incredibly, if you do it right, by Saturday night, by Sunday, you so deserve to either shut up or sleep all day because you've given so much, you know. So, but a musical is that only 100 times more. The dancing, the physicality, just, you know, just you happen to be on, you know, it's hard work, musicals.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine was in, oh gosh, what's the show that was, Gypsy, and she did that at the, not the Shaftesbury Theatre, what's the one? The Savoy. Imelda Staunton,
right.
A chunk name drop, but she did that. I mean, she did 8 shows a week on that, and you know, I hadn't seen her since I was at the National with Imelda, and she looked as if she'd done God knows how many rounds in a boxing ring, because you know her face was just. I said to her it was a Saturday night, and I said, "How are you?" She said, "What? Well, how do you think?" Which was a dumb question to ask, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, but also Mama Rose there are certain roles in musical theatre, and if you do them, even if you used to do them one night a week, it would kill you. But you've got to do Mama. You know, all those songs are arias, and don't forget with Mama Rose, she's got the whole show to build up to what is probably the biggest song for a character actress, Rose's Turn, which even though it's not money notes, it's that. Me, and that is not good for this as we get older.
No. But, I mean, you know, Imelda she did a fantastic job, and she was amazing. So we're about to go into a Q&A, John, but there's just one thing I've got to mention, and I hope this is not going to embarrass you at all. I understand that you've taken up slow cookery.
Well, I've never cooked anything in my life. My mum is a great cook. All my friends are great cooks, so I go around for dinner a lot. My friend Paul Gamble, he was the one that told me, he said, you know you've got to brown the chicken? I went, you told me in the slow cooker, you just got to chuck it in. He went, no, I said, that sounds like proper cooking. So I've learned to cook. I now do a very mean roast dinner. You can all come around to mine for a roast dinner when this all changes. My tatties are amazing.
Oh, there we are. You see, there's an offer. So we'll all have to exchange telephone numbers.
I never thought I'd want to cook, never. But I really do. I love it. I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah.
There you go, you see. Slam it in, switch it on, and leave it to cook. There
Yeah.
we go. Right, okay. So I see that Claire's got a hand up, and I think she might like to ask you a question. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, Claire, and John is here at your disposal.
Oh, my friend David Lecky's online as well. Oh, you just go on. Claire?
Hi.
Hi, darling.
I've got a problem, actually, a big problem.
What's your big problem?
I can sing, but I'm an alto. I went for, I did the open for Les Mis, and then I had an invite for Aspects of Love back in the day.
Wow.
But I sing down in the drain, I really do. You know, I'm such a low singer. And when I went for my private singing lessons after leaving drama school, every song had to be transposed into a different key, you know. So what I'm asking you is, where would an alto sit in a musical? Think of a musical.
Well, I'm just trying to think, really. There aren't really many. I mean, even with Sondheim, I mean, kind of the beggar woman is kind of alto. But it's all the major roles are probably up to like E, F, you know. So it's also because it's such a character thing, and also, yeah, I'm just trying to think.
I mean, when there was I was in a small show down at Farnham, I think John came to, and when we were singing When the Children Sing, and it was too high for me to sing in soprano,
right,
and then it was a bit too low for me to sing in the male range. Do you know what I mean? And it's it's so frustrating because I can sing, but I just can't. It just doesn't seem to be any inroads, does that?
Well, I think you and John, you should. I should give John some numbers of some singing teachers, or you contact me on however you want to.
You know, John's my bestie from Chappies.
I was at Birmingham School of Speech and Drama with Claire.
All right.
Bestie.
But the thing is, all I would say, Claire, is singing is a muscle, and I say to all my students all the time, you know, it's not actually always about having the best voice. It's actually you being really comfortable and committed to the sound that you make, and that's your sound, you know.
Yeah. And it's about telling the story, isn't it, through the lyrics? I mean, I'm no expert on this, but you know, for example, I would say maybe somebody like Tracy Bennett that you know, she professes not to be musical theatre at all, but you know, she said I was in a band because I was chatting to her, and she said she just tells the story. I mean, would you say that makes sense, John?
Well, that's what I teach with all my students that I teach. My thing is, I say, don't come into this class and show off with your voices. I hear great voices all the time. I said, I've got a great CD collection at home. I want to listen to great voices. What I always say to particularly the first years, I would rather any day see an actor sing a song than a singer sing a song. Which is because they make all these they make all these lovely but I often say to my students, a couple of my students even today online, I've gone, hello, I'm here. It sounds lovely. Nothing going on.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Does that help, Claire?
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, John. And thanks, John.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Sharon, over to you.
Hiya.
Hiya.
Hi, evening. Mine was more a general one for you. If there's any part that you haven't played, what would it be?
Brenda, what's it going to be? You know, it's going to be Fagin in Oliver. It's the one role in my line of Bart show. I do a man's got a heart, hasn't it? I do reviewing the situation, and everyone that says it, you need to play Fagin. Last year I had 2 auditions for it, and I got close to it, and I didn't get it. It's kind of really. I got another job, and then the other one I didn't get a recall. It's really weird. So, but a mate of mine got it, so who cares? You know. But no, Fagin. Actually, there's Fagin, there's Zaza in La Cage, and there's Welcome, bienvenue, welcome. I'd love to play that part.
That's my part. I want that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry, and what's
Sorry,
been your
Sharon, what else did you say?
favourite role so far?
Well, I think, to be
And
honest, in my latter part of my career, I was very lucky. I was the Lionel Barr show is a tour de force. I mean, not just because of it's what the way it's written. I sing 22 songs out of 25 songs in the show. I'm the only one that talks. I have a breakdown in the show. You know, Brenda will confess it. He had the most incredible life, not an easy life, you know. But the other show that I did was a show called A Class Act, which is the life of the composer and lyricist Ed Cleveland, who wrote the lyrics to a chorus line. And he was a tortured soul. And I did the European premiere of that over here, got nominated for Best Actor in BroadwayWorld.com and The Office and that. And it was a show, actually, I got offered it and I didn't know anything about it. And I said, I don't want to do that. It was on the Fringe. And then a friend of mine said, you should really, it's a great show. And it's the best thing I ever did. It got me the best. I don't read reviews as an actor, but after I did the show, I did read the reviews. And they were like love letters. I mean, I've never really had reviews like that in my life. And we're hoping maybe to do it as a concert version, because I know so many of these musical theatre ladies, it's basically a one-man show with other actors. So he was a real Lothario with Cleveland. Even though he was an odd-looking man, he was a Lothario, he had women everywhere. So I know all my girlfriends are kind of said if I do it, they'd all come along and sing the song. So hopefully, I'd love to do that, because it was the most exhausting thing I've ever done. Seriously, learning it was a nightmare. I'm not great at learning. And there was I never forget, there's 105 pages in the script, and he comes on stage on page 1 and he dies on 105, and I don't leave the stage, because when he's not on stage, when he's not alive, he's looking at his life through these people. So I never leave the stage. And I've got the weakest bladder on the planet. Literally, I constantly wanted to go for a pee. 2 nights they didn't appear. One night when I was in the toilet, came on again. I'm so sorry. What's been going on in my life? What's been going on in my life?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be me. That'd be me running off.
Ah, fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Laura.
Hello, Laura.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here. I'm enjoying all of your stories. And I've
Thank
either
you.
been in the shows you've mentioned or I've sung pieces, so I can relate to everything.
Oh, wow.
I have 2 questions for you, if that's all right.
Yeah.
The first is, how do we participate in your online class? Because I'm interested if you're taking any other students.
Well, I do private I mean, I teach in all the big colleges, but I do private lessons. So I can get my number off of John and we can talk that way. But I'm not a singing teacher per se. I don't play the piano or anything like that. My thing is always about text, because I get a lot of people coming to me saying, as an outside party, how do I see this song being done? And are most people on this thing, are you all mostly actors? Yeah. So we've all got our box of tricks, haven't we? And Ryan's is going to be different to John's and mine, and that's what I say to my students. You know, all the great joys I've had in my life, all the letdowns, the people I've loved, and that's my box of tricks. And I'm always a great one for digging into that, particularly the younger kids, because they haven't got a clue. They just think making a nice noise is it, and I regularly go, no.
Yeah, I understand. I'm a trained singer, but maybe you're more for role preparation, you're saying? That type of...
Yeah, I'm always about the text, and I can help. Look, I know my voice better than anyone. I know how I can get through on a night when I've got no voice. I know my voice. Again, I don't know how I'd impart that onto someone else, but that's where with John and Claire, I know of some great singing teachers who would give them, get them all those things, revving them up, you know?
Well, it'd be nice to connect. I don't know if you conducted workshops, that kind of thing. I would love to check it out. My other question is, I think this is a fun question. If you were to compare Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell, because I've done both and I love both so much, I don't know, like, what do you like best about both of those shows? And did you find, I mean, they're both rock musicals. I just adore them so much.
Well, Superstar I've done 8 times in my career.
Okay.
I've done recordings of it, concert versions of it. And Godspell, I did the 1994 studio recording for Stephen Schwartz, who I've known Stephen and I have known one another for 33 years.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
He's written songs for my albums. He's written my album notes. I stay with him when I go to New York. I mean, he's a very dear friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
he's singing his music. I recorded a song of his on each of my albums. I've made 5 solo albums, and I've always recorded his songs on them because I love them. But also, have you ever heard him sing? Get on YouTube and type in Stephen Schwartz, Reluctant Pilgrim. The man has a voice like butter. And when he sings his own material, it's so moving.
I will. That's so wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
John, didn't Stephen Schwartz, he wrote, was it a fantastic show about the Garden of Eden? It was Children of Eden, wasn't it?
Which I did all the original demos for. I mean, do you know, Laura, do you know the song In Whatever Time We Have from Children of Eden? In whatever time I did the original demo of that for him. I mean, to sing an original Stephen Schwartz song from the composer with him teaching me, for him playing it to me, that was, I mean, unbelievable.
Oh, how fun. Okay, I'm going to look that up too.
Right. And there was another Steve, oh gosh, and when I lived in Berlin for 2 years, and I'm sure I must have met Stephen Schwartz, and that was, I think he wrote for De Glocken von Notre Dame.
Oh, Hunchback of Notre Dame, yeah, which they did, and they've done that production. His son Scott directed that production, and
Right.
they've just done it in LA actually.
Have they really?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I worked on the original production of that at the musical theatre, Stella Musical Theatre in Berlin.
Oh wow.
That
Wow.
was just an amazing, I mean, an 1800 seat house, and it was packed most shows, and we had Gina Lola de Brigida came along, of course,
Oh, wow.
and Esmeralda in the first, I think, second film version of it, and what a wonderful, wonderful production.
Right.
It ran for nearly 3 years, so that was really, really good. So who's next? Or am I going to pick on somebody to ask a question? Let me see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to go to John Fulger.
Hi, John.
Good evening, John.
How are
Are
you?
you
All right?
well?
I'm very
you
well,
well?
thank you very much.
Good, glad to hear that. Did you ever fancy being in the musical Hair then?
No, because you're never going to get me taking my clothes off on stage.
No, I saw it live in '77, and it was
Oh, wow.
it was incredible.
Oh, it's a great, I mean, I've seen it. I saw that wonderful production that Cameron brought over a few years ago now. It might even be like 15 years ago that Gavin Creel did, which was mind blowing. I mean, it's very much a period piece. It's
It's definitely
like
70s. Well,
yeah,
late 60s, early 70s, definitely. Yeah. It doesn't translate to modern.
No. That's
you've got to be a hippie.
Well, but also it is a period piece. You've got to do it. You can't start tinkering and trying to make it sound modern because it's all flower power. They're all off their faces, and it's But no, you're not.
Well, it's anti-war, isn't it? It's predominantly an anti-war.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Would you like to be in it, John?
Would
you like to be in it?
I would love to have been in it, but I'm about 30 years too old and far too politically challenged.
I'm sure that's a choice, like me, of course.
Of course.
It's a choice. It's a choice.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Somebody else doesn't put that. Tristan. Yes.
Tristan.
Over to you.
Hi, Tristan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, a general question. Being musical theatre requires a lot of peak physical fitness. Do you have a particular type of exercise regime as well as your warm-ups to keep yourself fighting weight, as it were?
I walk a lot. I mean, I'm only 5 foot. For many years on my CV it was 5'7". What a lie! I'm 5'6" and a bit. Right, but I used to be really lazy. And I used to drive everywhere. Now I walk everywhere. I've got an amazing park at the bottom of my road. I walk, I do weights. My little arms are starting to get, but again, being a character actor, I don't want, but being a character actor, I do not want to get a six pack because I won't work. I mean, look at this face. Imagine this face and a six pack. No, it's not a good combination.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I just saw something pop up there.
I did. I haven't seen any of these questions. Sorry.
Um,
Do you know how to do the chat on here?
Not that brilliant, but Rowan, I noticed you mentioned Blood Brothers.
Rowan.
Yes. Can you unmute yourself?
No, everyone else was discussing their favorite musicals. So
I just saw that. Well, whilst we mentioned Blood Brothers, have you ever, John, auditioned or ever had?
Yes, Blood Brothers. Oh my God, I'd love to have done it.
Yes.
When Conor O'Neill was leaving, when he did the big major revival with Kiki D, when he left, because I kind of looked a bit like him at the time. I had a lot of dark hair and all that. And Conor and I are friends anyway. And I went back and went back and went back, and they ended up giving it to the understudy in the end. Who then ended up doing the show for about 14 years.
My goodness me!
Yeah,
it's the wonderful Robert Locke.
Robert Locke. Oh God, yes, God.
Yeah, that was tragic.
And Mark Hutchinson. Yeah, very sad.
Yes, indeed. Carl Wayne.
Yes. Stephanie Lawrence. All those great ladies that did it.
Absolutely amazing. So that's that.
Okay. No, I'd love to have done Blood Brothers.
Yeah, well, because Lynn Pauls recently finished she said it was her last tour of playing Mrs. Johnston. So, but I think it's always a case of never say never with such an iconic role.
But what is so funny, in the last 25 years of that show, all the Mrs. Johnstons have been in their 60s. I mean, Lindsay Haitley, my friend who's just done the last tour of it, was at least kind of roughly the right kind of age. Whereas some of those Nolan sisters were rather...
Well, I think the lyrics are something along the lines of by the time that I was 25, I looked like 22. So whether that could be transferred to something a little bit higher up, I don't know.
What was David Leck said? Hold on, David Leck.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, John. We're best fans of Evita. Who's your David Leck? My friend David. Who's my favourite Ava? Well, to be honest, I saw Elaine Page do it at a very early age, so I'm not going to lie. But Kathy Evans and Rhea Jones, who are my Avas. I mean, they're all Rebecca Storm. I mean, I've got to be careful what I say now, because if this is going out on YouTube, I know all those Avas. I know Siobhan McCarthy. I know Rebecca Storm. You're all my favourite. I love you all. Right, got me out of that one.
Oh, I'm pleased I didn't say it.
I love you all. Evita Peron, la Santa Peronista.
Right, Kerry, let's see if you've got something. Look at his face. He's gone.
Hi, Kerry.
Frozen. Come on,
Kerry, you look like Trevor Nunn. It's like Trevor Nunn being online. I'm being so trapped by the Kerry fabulous.
It is Trevor Nunn.
It is Trevor Nunn. Look, he's even doing. Trevor does that. Oh yes, it's lovely work, Johnny. Lovely work, dear boy. Lovely.
No, he's not.
I can't do the voice though. I feel out of my depth on this one because I'm always in awe of people who do musicals. So that's why I don't really have a question. I just wanted to hear all the stories. I mean, the closest. I mean, I've turned down roles because they said you got to sing on it. I have sung on stage once, and that was more than enough. And I did a musical last Christmas, which was Miracle on 34th Street, the musical.
Oh, yeah.
But mine was the one non-singing role.
Well, those are the best parts to have.
Yeah, I loved it.
John, that's what you need to do. Get in a musical, don't sing. Great.
Well, there you go.
It was a bit like, because I played Chris Kringle. So all you guys who sing, I'm like in awe all the way through. They say, "Oh, sing on this one, Kerry." No. And then I come on at the end as Chris Kringle, and I get all the applause because I get the applause.
Mate, so I'd love a part like that.
A bit of a cheat on that.
No, take it.
Yeah, I, all the stuff you're talking about, all those shows you're talking about. Yeah, I buy
that. No, the thing is, though, Kerry, on a serious note, as a kid, I wanted to be in the theatre. My simple thing, if I'm being really honest with all of you tonight and myself, is as a kid, I just wanted to be in the theatre. And a lot of people said to me, "Johnny, you'll never work." My parents, and you'll never work. And then other people that were in the theatre said, "Look, you've got this wonderful voice. I'm working. I've never been out of work." Do you know what I mean? I've done really all right. Again, this is what I say to my students. It's the thing that is going to make you is you. You trying to be. I tried to be. I'm a big Barbra Streisand fan, so I got into all those albums at a very early age. I became a big fan of Michael Rupert. Do you want to know who Michael Rupert is? A Broadway star. incredible voice. Len Carew, who's the original Sweeney Todd. All those kind of people, they lived in my earphones walking to school on a daily basis, you know. And when my voice broke, and then I didn't sing for a while, and then I just started to listen to singers, and I sang all the time. And then now I just know how my voice works. So, you know, we'll just sing.
Yeah.
I never say never.
There for you, Kerry.
Never. Ryan.
You must. Okay, so who can we...
Hi, Ryan.
Hi. Thank you so much for doing this, John. It's brilliant.
Thank
really
you.
Enjoying it. I suppose a question I've got is, who is your favorite director that you've ever worked with, and what's your reason for that decision?
There have been a few, actually. In my early career, there were two. There's a wonderful guy called Clive Perry who used to run Birmingham Rep, and he took the biggest chances on me, really, as far as playing parts. But in my early career, there was, and it always makes me feel emotional when I talk about him. There was a guy called Peter Walker, and Peter Walker was the resident director on Evita at the Victoria Palace for the entire run at the VP. And he took a gamble on me. I auditioned for Annie the day after I auditioned for Superstar, and he said to me, "I think you're great, kid." He said, "But you're too young for this job. Come back next year." So that's how the following year I was asked to go back, you know. And Peter Walker, bless his soul, believed in me, because giving a 17-year-old boy the swing job on a show, which is probably one of the most responsible jobs on a show, especially a musical, because you have to learn all the different harmonies. In 1 minute, you know. And the funny story about that, I'll never forget him saying to me, we had a wonderful guy in the show who'd been a Broadway juvenile star, a guy called Kevin Scott, in the 50s, very handsome man. I think Kevin must have been mid-50s when we were doing the Annie tour. And Peter said to me, "Don't even bother looking at Kevin Scott's track, because he won't be off. He's old school Broadway." So I didn't look at Kevin Scott's track. Who was the first person I was on for on a Wednesday afternoon? Kevin Scott. I hadn't even looked at his track. Literally, I'm running around backstage like a blue-ass fly going, "What's next? Where does he go?" Because I hadn't. But anyway, the cast pushed me around. But, you know, at 17, I couldn't do it now. I have so much stage fright and fear now. I was 17 going, "Get me on that stage!" But in those days, now you go, it's one line. "What is it? Are you sure?" I'm terrible. Terrible. I've got worse as I've got older. I regularly, before I go on for my Lionel Barr show, because as I said, I'm the only one that talks for 2.5 hours and sings all these songs, I sometimes just cross my fingers and just hope that I say the lines in the right order. I have skipped out. Brenda came one night. We have a young girl that plays Barbara Windsor in the show. And I turned around, I did this whole thing confidently about whatever part of the show it was, confidently. And then I turned around and I saw her sitting there in the blonde wig, and I went, "I've missed out a whole chunk of his career." And I went, "Yeah, do you know what? I've had a couple to drink. I must tell you about the 60s. And literally, oh my God. Oh my God.
It's that sudden kind of, you know, the worst thing, isn't it? You know, you're doing something so many times, and then you go onto that autopilot. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. No, because with the Bart show, we've never done it enough times to do that. So,
right.
And Simon's so tight, we never rehearse it. So, sorry, Simon. Just in case he listens to this. But the great thing about with the Bart show now, with the help of Brenda, I've been to the archives. Brenda runs Lionel Bart's archives. I've been there, and I've been so privileged. I've held Lionel Bart's original notepad for Oliver. I've read letters from Noel Coward to Lionel. I mean, what Brenda's got in the archives, I've held his Olivier, his Tony Award. I've worn his glasses. I've looked at his bus pass. Brenda has let me get into Lionel's life as much as I possibly could.
As the lady is here, Brenda, is there anything, or would you be happy to share?
Brenda, do you know how to speak? Can you press your button and just speak a little bit?
It's on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. It says mute. So if you press it, it should.
Oh, is she?
I can hear you.
Yeah, there you are, Bren. Hello, my darling.
She's pressed it again. You need to press it.
Keep your finger on it, sweetheart.
Bottom left should be mute, it says. If you press it, it'll unmute so we can hear you. No, we still can't hear her. If she wants... No. Oh, I'm not very good at troubleshooting. Okay.
I tell you what, David Leck, do you want to say anything? My friend David Leck?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, John, yeah.
Oh, right. No, that question I asked John, the first, sorry, it was a bit, it was a bit of a long question, but the first thing was, I just wondered why you thought Evita, a show about fascist Latin American politics, is still being performed all over the world 42 years later, and it just seems to me to be kind of timeless. And I just wondered, as you played it and you worked with the original director, do you have a theory about why a show so unlikely should cut through generation after generation?
I think Evita is up there with Sweeney Todd, and I think Sweeney Todd is a perfect piece of writing, and I think that's what, because it doesn't fit into the norm. And no. I think, I mean, I know you went to see the production in the park. I didn't, but I to be honest, I only ever really want to see that Hal Prince production, because when I see other versions of Line, and God knows I've sent you enough dodgy ones that we've laughed about between you and me, they always kind of in a funny way end up paying homage to it. You know, the way that the Ava looks.
Even the Regent's Park did, to a certain extent.
I think that Hal Prince was a definitive, and I don't really like that word, and I think his Sweeney Todd was quite definitive as well. But I think Sweeney Todd and Evita will go on forever. And I think the other thing is as well, what will be interesting, I don't think it'll happen yet, but there will be a very scaled down version of Evita at some point. Hopefully not actor musos, hopefully, you know, with actors and maybe a piano and maybe something like what do they have in not a concertina, what do they have in South America that do the is it a concertina?
Yeah, the tango instrument.
Yeah, the tango instrument. Or I think that would work so brilliantly, to have people just mingling, you know, but not actor musos wobbling around playing instruments badly. I don't really want to hear that.
I think that original Hal Prince staging was so kind of sinister and minimalist, and never seen anything like it. You know, and it still stands up.
It does. It does. And thank God that production will, I think, always stand the test of time, as indeed when the New York City Opera do Sweeney Todd, they always revive that original Tazina First design and the Larry Fuller's original choreography and staging and everything, and the costumes, you know. And
of course, they've just done the original Hal Prince Evita in Australia as well.
In Australia, they have. But I met David on Evita, actually. Paul Gamble, my dear old school friend Paul Gamble, do you want to say anything?
Just to say hi, John.
Hello, John.
Very well.
Oh, well, very, very well, doing very well. Brenda, have you got this sorted yet? No. No. Okay.
So Paul Gamble, yeah?
Yeah, so I have got a question, John.
Go on then. Keep it clean, you know me too well.
So in lockdown, you've done a little bit of spring cleaning with some of your memorabilia. What's the favourite memorabilia that you've got from over your career?
From my career, oh my God, I mean, I nick something from every show I've ever been in. But I tell you, one of the things I found that I forgot I had, let me just show you. These were my hold on. These were my Ed Cleveland glasses that I wore, and I didn't know I still had them.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know I still had them. And then this I found as well. I've done ragtime twice in my career. I played the role of Tata, and I forgot when I did it at the Landor on the last night. I kept this in my pocket. But it's what I used to go, Buffalo nickel photo plating. I go from silhouettes to photos. So that was my nickel. I'm very lucky. I've got some wonderful signed things that I've got, but I've also, my very dear friend Tony Mathis bought for me a birthday present many years ago. Bought me a book about Gershwin from a very highfalutin stall in Chicago. And when she got it home, she opened it up, and there was a letter in it from Ira Gershwin. So I have a letter from someone that he wrote to someone signed "Love, Ira," which I have. I'm going to get that framed at some point.
Wow, fantastic.
Anthony Newley signed all of my albums. Sondheim signed all of my albums. I got Angela Lansbury when Janie D was doing Blithe Spirit with her. She got her to sign my Gypsy, and Angela Lansbury doesn't sign anything. I think Janie D had a gun to her head. She said, "Sign them, otherwise I'm dead."
Lovely. Thanks, John.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So we're sort of rounding up a little bit on this, coming to an end on the Q&A. I always ask any guests that come on, is there something that you would like to say to everybody, whether we're musical theatre, straight actors, just singers, dancers, whatever, something that we should take away and think about for the future, especially at this time? And bearing in mind, we're all creatives, we're all performers.
Do you know, I think we all know, and I've been in this business for 43 years and I love it. And I'm sure, like all of you, I yin and yang with, and there have been many times I've wanted to give up, I've tried to give up, and something's called me back. I think the thing is, it's one of those businesses, if you've got the virus of show business in your veins, you've got it. And you just have to do it, don't you? Because otherwise, I'd rather be on my deathbed regretting that I did it rather than regret that I didn't do it. And when I think of the life that I've led, the people that I've known, as this kid who wanted to be in the theatre, that I've worked with Sondheim, that I know Stephen Schwartz, I've worked with Nigel Rodweber, I've sung in New York, Liza Minnelli came to see the show. I've got a letter over here from Barry Manilow that Barry Manilow wrote to me when I did my first album. I mean, things like that, I had a dream. I wanted to be in the theatre, that I've seen the world. I mean, I've cruised, used to do my cabaret on the QE2. I know all these things. I've never planned my career. I've had shit agents most of my life. So everything has been by pure luck, really. You know, me being, you've got any jobs going? I'm not scared. I'm quite old school going, when I've been looking for agents, you know, are you looking, can I come and have a meeting? I'm not scared, because the thing is, I'm realizing as I get older, this is as good as it gets. You know, I know myself. I look in the mirror and I see this. I don't see Brad Pitt. I don't see John Craigs. I see me. And that's what is employable or isn't employable. You know, trying to compare myself to other people, which I tried to do, which I did do for a big chunk of my career. I've learned to be true to thyself. That's the one thing that I can say to you.
Yeah, do you know that really sort of says it all? Just be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else, because we are who we are, and that's what makes us unique.
It is, and that's what, when you go into an audition, you know, imagine on those final recalls, you're down, there's 4 or 5 of you up for it, and you're all up for it for the same reason, because you could all bring something to it. It's on the day the best man wins, or so you hope, you know?
Yes.
And the other thing I said to a student of mine today, actually, which might be wise words, is for every job that I didn't get, 3 months later, I'm in a dressing room or on a film set or in a recording studio doing something and going, if I had got that job, I wouldn't be here doing this. So I've been very lucky. I trust in fate. The other thing during lockdown is I've really truly learned to enhance that thing of living in the now, because I can't do anything about yesterday. Tomorrow is completely, for all of us, not just me, an unknown entity. So today, I've had a great class with my students. I've had some great calls with mates, and then I've come online and met some wonderful people this evening. We've had a bit of a laugh, and I made a complete tit of myself, probably. But hey, you know,
that's all. It's been absolutely brilliant. And finally, John, for anybody that may be watching the replay of this, you know,
don't believe a word I said.
The graduate, any graduates that are leaving, you know, just finishing at drama school, which must be a very, very daunting time for them.
It is for them. My third years are leaving, and it's tough.
So, okay, so anybody that's going into this business, whether it be musical theatre or just straight theatre or whatever, what advice would you give to them?
Well, just that you look, it's luck. It really is luck, especially when you're starting out. You've got to get yourself. I mean, the agent thing now for these young kids is so important, you know. And the thing is, it's like there are so many agents out there, and I don't think all of them are necessarily kosher. Do you know what I mean? They kind of take these kids on it en masse, and then they just sit there en masse, and you know, they get farmed off. And to find a really good agent that can say, okay, I see you as being this, and I will try and get. And for any agent that would say, I promise I can do this for you, don't believe it, because no agent can do that. I don't care.
They should never say that. That's something that, you know, if an agent says, and I have had it happen to me many years ago, oh, I can guarantee you this. There are no guarantees.
There are no guarantees.
There never have been and never will be, as far as I'm concerned. And there we are. Okay, right. Well, we're going to wrap this. Hang around afterwards. But if you'll all join me in giving John a big round of applause, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.